Welcome to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Here's your host, Casey Bubba and Scott Bogman.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pre-Snap Podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. And most importantly, download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Everything you need in the palm of your hands to be a winning DFS player. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are ready for a fun Thanksgiving weekend. If you have the app, it's College Football Bonanza the next few days, which is absolutely amazing. Like, I love it. On
absolutely.
Wednesday, no secret here, Thursday's Thanksgiving, so Wednesday we're recording for your Friday show. I opened up the DraftKings app and I saw all the slates for college football starting on Thursday, and it was pretty cool. Like, I'm not going to say what I really thought because it's a PG show, but it was pretty cool. But so you can use the LineStar app to help you with that. We have basketball going crazy, everything going on, but most importantly, 10-game main slate to preview today. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, and my co-host is always on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Scott Bogman, how we doing, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a college football guy, so lots and lots of we have not just rivalry games, a lot of named rivalry games here too, with trophies on the line and stuff. Even in the Wisconsin and Minnesota, which doesn't really matter.
Axe, baby.
The Paul Bunyan's axe, right?
I've been to that game, and both teams were horrible the year I went, and you wouldn't have known it for 60 minutes.
Doesn't matter if you
60
win it,
minutes,
you get that axe. That's all that matters, man.
Team Jonathan Taylor chopped down the goalpost with it. It was it's great.
The
Good
Civil
time.
War between Oregon and Oregon State, the Apple Cup. Mean, there's the Iron Bowl, the game. Obviously,
will Michigan ever beat Ohio State again in our lifetime? It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't.
They will in our lifetime for sure.
I know I'm being sarcastic, but it's like it hasn't. I don't remember the last time it was close.
Under Jim Harbaugh, I'm not sure, but look, Harbaugh has been great this year. But here we go, talk about college football on a DFS show. So let's get into the DFS. We have
digress.
We've already done our hour of radio this week, Bub. So let's dive in on some DFS here.
All right, 10-game slate to get going for you. Again, make sure you get the app, subscribe, all the fun stuff there. But let's get going here. Atlanta at Jacksonville kicks things off for us. Atlanta's -1 over under 47 in this one. Bogman, what we liking in this game?
I mean, James Robinson at 62 and 76 isn't bad. I like the price on Russell Gage at 51 and 57. Maybe Laviska, since Jamal Agnew's down, Laviska at 44 and 5,600 could be good. If you want to try to, get the punt play on that Jamal Agnew spot and go with Tavon Austin at 3,400, I don't hate that. Not paying up for Pitts because he just hasn't done anything. Not paying for Dan Arnold as he gave us a donut last week. If you want to gamble on either defense, I'm also okay with that because both these offenses have been horrific. We saw the Falcons get shut out last week. Jacksonville hasn't been scoring a lot of points either. So I think those are the plays I like. I like this game better from DFS than I do for betting. Just because I have no idea what to pick in betting, but there's a couple options, but not a game that I want to pay attention to for the most part.
Yeah, I think I've said it many times. It feels like it's either like 31-27 or 9-6. Like, it's such a bad football game, but could be just so bad it's good for fantasy reasons. And that's what makes it tough. Like, I like the idea of James Robinson, like you said, 62 and 76. Atlanta is one of the worst rush defenses in all of football right now. Robinson had 12 carries last week, got 75% of the workload. They had to abandon the rush load early on in that game, so that could be a big spot there. If Cordero Patterson plays, he's always in play. Like, he practiced limited on Wednesday, so that could be intriguing to say the least, just because we know how many touches he's going to get. But I do like James Robinson in this one. If you want to use a cheap receiver like the Viscas or the Tavon Austins, you can. I don't know where I'm going to go with that one because I just don't trust this passing game. So it's pretty much James Robinson or bust for me is the way I'm looking at it, and probably just moving on from there and praying that these other games are much more appealing. All right, we got Carolina at Miami. Carolina -2 over under 42. Bogman.
Yeah, look, let's go with Cam Newton here at 56 and 8,000. I love this price on him, particularly on DK. In FanDuel, you kind of always have to pay up for that quarterback, so I don't know if I would pay the 8,000 for Cam, but 5,600 on DK is an excellent price. McCaffrey at 9,000 and 9,700. The good thing about McCaffrey being that price, Bub, you've mentioned this many times before, is that the ownership will be low because he costs so much. So he's still Christian McCaffrey, and he's still going up against the Dolphins. So I love him this week. I think you could go with either Moore or Anderson. I think at these prices, I'd actually rather go with Robbie Anderson at 47.54, even though on ITL, I called out DJ Moore as one of my plays this week. But 62 and 67 is just, it's a little pricey. But Jalen Waddle, probably a better buy than both of them at 5,900 and 6,700. Love him. He's just been excellent this whole year. No tight ends in this game for me. Maybe if you want to play the Panthers D, I'd be okay with it, but I'm not real interested. So I think it's pick one of the wideouts, CMC, and Cam for me.
Yeah, I love Cam, especially at that 5,600, like you mentioned on DK. I think he's a great cash game play for that reason, and just a really good play altogether. I think 2 is nice and contrarian if you want to, because they're going to throw it a lot against this really good defense, really good front from Carolina. It's still risky though. Like, there's better places to go. But I do like Cam. Love CMC, especially in cash. Like Cam and CMC is just fine. You mentioned the Moore and Anderson thing. Like, I think Moore's got the higher ceiling, obviously. But, he had 7 targets last week. Anderson had 6. They both had 5 catches. So it's just depends on what they do with it. So Anderson is getting more involved in the passing game of late. So you're dead on there. And then I don't mind Waddle just because his volume is just ridiculous right now. What he's getting there, it's really, really strong. So there are some nice pieces in this game. Not sure I'm going to go over the top with it because it could be a slugfest, kind of like last week's Jets-Dolphins game where they scored a combined, I think, like 40 points or something, 45 points. So it's got some relevance, but not break the slate relevance, which we'll have on other games on this slate. Chargers at the Denver Broncos, divisional matchup in this one. And it's kind of a messy one, Bogman. You got Chargers -3 over under 47.5.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, we saw Herbert get back on track last week. So I like this price of 66 and 7,800 for him. I'm good with Eckler whenever you want to play him. Not too interested in Gordon or Javonte, although I say they're both affordable at 53 and 5,200. But I don't think I'm diving over tables to go snap either one of them up because it's just, who's going to get the touchdown? I would guess probably Gordon. So I'd rather lean on him at 5,300, just $100 more. But I'm okay with either one of them. Keenan Allen has been great. I think I could go back to him. I'm not interested in Mike Williams. Not really interested in Cortland Sutton, as you all know. I'm a whiff on him this year.
You tapped out.
Yeah, I can no longer suggest him at all. Not interested in any tight ends either. So for me, it's mainly Herbert and then Keenan Allen, paying up for guys.
Yep, I like the Herbert Allen combo for sure, especially in this matchup. You can exploit in this Denver defense. I think Eckler's not bad. He's just so pricey. I'd almost just find the money to get to CMC at that point. Yeah. Or like, the weird thing this week is there's like, at least on DK, there's 6 really good running backs 7,500 and above, and FanDuel they're like all 8K and above. So you can legit play the ownership game. Eckler kind of leans towards the bottom of those like top 6 for me. I love him. He's great. 4 touchdowns last week, but let's be realistic at the same time with this matchup and realize it's going to be tough to match that with the other options close by. So it's pretty much Herbert and Allen for me as well as the only options. Not too much else I like unless you think Denver's going to throw it all over them, which I just don't think they will. I'm kind of giving up on Denver, which might be the wrong thing to do, but that's where I'm sitting at this point in time. Now, a game I really like, but I'm concerned about the points in this game, is the Los Angeles Rams at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay -1. The over-under, though, is 47.5, one of the higher on the slate.
Yeah, this game, so Aaron Rodgers and the toe scare me. So Aaron Rodgers scares me. Aaron Jones practicing scares me off of A.J. Dillon a little bit at this point. Maybe we'll get more news. And then I would be more in on A.J. Dillon, of course, if we know that Aaron Jones isn't going to play. But him practicing kind of seems like he's going to go. Look, play Cooper Kupp whenever you want. He's super expensive, but he will torch whoever he plays. Devontae also will torch whoever he plays. So I'm good with those guys. Outside of that, I'm just not with the way Green Bay's defense has been playing. And the Rams coming off the bye to play against Aaron Rodgers, who is gimpy right now. this game seems like it should be a lot of fun and great for fantasy purposes. I think because maybe people think that and it may have higher ownership than others, I think I'm going to pass for the most part unless I'm paying up for one of those big whiteouts.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's definitely a tricky one. I like Dylan. I still like him in tournaments more so if Jones does play, because I just don't think Jones is close to 100%. So I'm surprised that, like, the initial reports, I think were 3 to 6 weeks with that sprained knee, and it's been 1. So I don't know about you guys, but when you mess up a knee and nearly tear the ligament, just sprain it, to be back this soon, that's pretty impressive and also scary at the same time. So
Right.
I still like Dylan this one. He was still getting a good workload beforehand. It literally takes one minor tweak, and there goes Jones again. Now you might get Dylan at lower ownership. I think it's going to be a tight game. The weather's going to be a little chilly, so the ball's going to be a ground and pound game for the most part. You're going to see a lot of people go to MVS because he's cheap. He's always tournament relevant, but just know it's like 1 in every 4 or 5 games when it happens. So it's not a continual thing. And maybe he does it back to back and shocks us, but you got that. You mentioned Kupp, you mentioned Adams. The last guy I mentioned, though, is if you go back the last couple of weeks for the Rams, Kupp leads the world in targets, but then it's Higbee and then Van Jefferson. So I think if you want to go to some Van Jefferson in this one at 49 and 54, I think it's going to be quite interesting if you want a cheaper piece of the Rams, if you think there's offense in this game, because most all go to Cobb. You got OBJ. I think Van, though, he's going to take that Robert Woods role, and I think he's going to run with it. So I think Van Jefferson at 49 and 54 is pretty good as well. All right, the game that we should all be stacking up. This is the game to stack up this week. The Minnesota Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers. Niners -3, over under 48.
Love both quarterbacks, Kirk and Jimmy G, because like you said, Bub, we both think this is going to be a higher scoring game here. So Kirk at 63.75, Jimmy G at 57.65. I like them both. If you're not a Jimmy G guy, although I think he might be the better value at the price, Kirk Cousins, I think we're going to get good Kirk Cousins. So, I mean, famous last words, but I do like him a lot this week. If you want to play Dalvin Cook, I'm good with it at any point. Eli Mitchell, he did practice, so that's good. I love this price at 54 and 68. It's a little early for me to tell you I definitely am in on him, but if he gets through practices and he is playing, I do really like him against this front. They just lost, it seems like maybe Everson Griffin as well. Danielle Hunter already out for the year, so they're having some problems on that line for the Vikings right now. Jefferson, Thielen, I'm in. Really like the price on Thielen this week, 67 and 7,200. I think is very, very affordable. Debo becoming quickly one of the best wide receivers in the NFL and best running backs on this team in San Francisco, 79 and 8,000. He has been great. Love Ayuk at this price, 53 and 63. I think if with Eli coming back, Debo's obviously not going to take as many carries. He's going to split back out wide. You're going to have Kittle back and Ayuk, all three of these guys healthy, all against kind of a torn up secondary here, and not getting a lot of pressure on Jimmy G either. So I like Ayuk at this price of 53 and 6,300. I think both tight ends are in play. If you want to pay up for Kittle, I get it. I think I'd rather have Conklin at 37 and 53, but there's a lot to love in this game, Bob.
Yep, no, there's a ton of love. And this is one of those games that you either full stack this game, you make it a main stack for you and piece around it, or you at least get some parts of it in every lineup you build. The way I look at it. I want exposure to this game. I say it time and time again. The Cousins, the Vikings stack has been low owned, and I think the Niners might be a little bit this week as well, but they're cheaper, so we'll see. But yeah, Cousins to Jefferson. If you want to go Thielen or Conklin, totally like that. On the flip side, Jimmy G's nice and cheap. He's a great pivot off what'll be a popular Cam Newton, especially on DK. On FanDuel, he's much cheaper, but 57 on DK compared to Cam's 56. Get a nice pivot there, and he's been playing well 3 of the last 4 weeks, putting up really good fantasy production. This Minnesota secondary is the worst in football right now, so you can exploit it in a big, big way, and that means going to the Debos, to the Ayuks, and to the Kittles. They're all producing in big, big ways. The one thing, like you mentioned, though, is we talked about the passing game so much. Mitchell and Cook are going to get overlooked in this whole thing. So They are ways to be different. If you want pieces of it and be different, Cook and Mitchell are definitely ways to do that. I love the passing games, though. I'm going to have little bits of both. I'm going to maybe make multiple stacks of, a Vikings passing attack with some Niners and a Niners passing attack with some Vikings, so on and so forth. I love this game. I love it a lot. So if it's a low-scoring game, you know what Monday's podcast is going to be like. So it's going to be pretty simple. All right. Jets at the Houston Texans. Talk about going from a great game to this game. I'm looking for there it is. Houston's minus 2.5 over under 44.5.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to go in this game. You can either play bits and pieces, like you can play Ty Johnson, who's at 43 and 52 because Michael Carter is down. You can play Rex Burkhead because he had a lot of touches last week at 42 and 57. Elijah Moore at 56 and 64. Is that a great price? He's been good with every non-Zach Wilson quarterback, but Zach Wilson is coming back this week, so that may factor it in for you. I love the price on Corey Davis at 48 and 61, and Brandon Cooks, I think gets back involved this week. But I think the biggest thing is pick a defense. Pick either the Jets or Houston and hope to fade one. But I think for the most part, I'm just going to avoid this game overall. Doesn't seem like a very good one. And the pieces that are good could be broken up. I love Ty Johnson, but maybe Tevin Coleman gets involved. But I mean, I'm willing to take the risk on Ty Johnson specifically in tournaments. But I don't have a lot of faith either way in this game.
Yeah, I like Ty Johnson on DK for the PPR aspect. He's not going to get a lot of carries, but he could get 5+ targets pretty easily. So I like him on $4,300 on DK for sure. David Johnson's been getting more and more work. I don't like him, but he's cheap and he's going to get a lot of carries in this game. So you at least got to acknowledge it. It could be interesting. You did mention Burkhead got some love too, but DJ's been getting some work here of late. But everyone's going to go to Elijah Moore. He's been awesome. I get it. But you mentioned the Zach Wilson thing, and that's what I think. We got the value with Corey Davis, 48 and 61, and even Jamison Crowder at 47 and 59. Both become very, very nice if you're looking for like a value wide receiver. I love Davis over Crowder, but Crowder's in play as well. Flip side, give me some Brandon Cooks. Let's go Brandon Cooks. Let's get it together here. Very affordable, 58 and 65. I'm hoping that Ty God figures it out and then starts going to him. All right, Philadelphia at the New York Giants. This one has like sneaky appeal, and I'm kind of worried about it. But Philadelphia is minus 3.5 over under 46.
Well, the Philly side is easy. You can play four guys. They are Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. So you can play any of those guys. I don't think I'm doing it this week. I'm not really interested in how they break up. Maybe Miles Sanders if I have to pick one because Jordan Howard is out. And it seems like they don't really like going to Boston Scott. So maybe Kenny Gainwell gets a helmet too. And they kind of split behind Miles Sanders and go with Sanders. And 5,100 is a good price below the poverty line, 5,500 being your average price on DK. So Miles Sanders is a maybe on the Philly side. On the Giants side, I don't know what to trust here because we're getting a new OC. Jason Garrett is gone. Thank God.
Good old Freddie Kitchen, man.
Dude, it's all I can do to see Danny Dimes roll to the right and roll to the left. Like it's just became unbelievably predictable. No wide receivers wanted to block for each other. They called that out specifically on the ESPN Monday Night broadcast. They didn't get the ball to Saquon in space. I just don't know what they were doing. So I'm glad that Garrett's gone, but I don't know if it's going to be much better. I would take Kadarius Toney at this 5,200 and 5,600 price. I think that's a good one for him. Don't want anything to do with Galladay. He's like miserable. No idea if Shepard's going to play. Darius Slayton loves dropping footballs. So I think for me, it's Toney and maybe Sanders in this game. And if you want to play Hurts, I totally understand that. But there's just not a lot of trustability in this New York and Philly game here.
It's not trustability, but I think it's great GPP angles. Hurts is even cash relevant because it's what he does with his legs. But just Hurts, Goddard, and then if you want to sprinkle in Smith, I got no problem doing that. It's a nice small stack, and then you can fill in with Niners and Vikings guys, stuff like that. It's ways to be different. So I don't mind that on the Philly side. On the Giants side, you didn't mention them, and I want your thoughts because I'm tempted in tournaments to go Saquon this week because he's so cheap. And I feel like with the new OC, they're going to want to get him at least 15+ touches this week, either through the air or on the ground, and he can blow up at this price tag.
I mean, look, I want him to get 20 touches, but I've been wanting in this hand the whole year, dude. Like, Saquon's my guy.
That's why I asked. You didn't even mention his name in the thing.
I just can't do it. He's been unbelievably unreliable. And I don't know if they are just kind of taking this as a lost season and saying, let's cap him at 15 and that's it. And they get him to 12 and then put him on the bench. I don't know if it's Jason Garrett. That's the trustability thing here. So if you want to take a risk, Saquon can blow up at any point, right? I think the whole name of the game should be get him the ball in space.
100%.
But there had to be other people besides just Jason Garrett at fault for this. It's not just like Jason Garrett goes, we're not going to give him the ball in space. So I don't know if I trust anyone, Joe Judge or the rest of his staff. in my opinion, I would clean house there. But this team has too much talent to be playing the way they are. I think the Giants, but I think Philly gets them, and I don't really think it's close. So I don't like this game.
Okay, well, I think I might sprinkle some Saquon. The one other guy I'll mention, Evan Ingram's 38 and 55. Philadelphia gets torched by every tight end they face this year, like destroyed by every one of them, no matter if it's a good team or a bad team. They've all feasted on the Eagles. So if anything can go well, it could be an Evan Ingram week if you're feeling lucky. All right, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, big game here. Bogman's gonna be loving this one. Big game. We day, goodness gracious. Cincinnati minus 4.5 over under 45.
Yeah, I think you like the normal things you like in this game. Najee at 82 and 88, I think is always in play. Don't think I'd go back to Mixon because the Steelers do get Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick and Joe Hayden and Loudermilk all back, who were all banged up and missed last week. So it was pretty much Cam Hayward had to do it on his own, and that's why the Chargers scored 41 points. So don't think I'd go back to Mixon, but you could play any wide receiver in this game, in my opinion. I mean, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, I think Chase would be your play, even though he's the expensive guy. I think he still torches Hayden or, whoever, Sutton, Pierre, whoever they put on him. He's just way better than Deontay is a PPR machine. So I get it. But I'm really interested in Pat Freiermuth here because Eric Ebron is going to go on the short-term IR. He's going to miss some weeks. So I do really like him at 43 and 5,300. I think that's a great price for him. But I don't. Burrow at 62 and 7,100 is good. I'm not messing with Roethlisberger, but for me, it's Najee, Chase, Deontay, and Freiermuth. Those are my big plays here.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game because I was terrified watching that Cincinnati O-line last week, but they've been doing it all year. It's been garbage, and they made it work. So we'll see how it works. Just this Pittsburgh defense was getting better before last week. So we'll see what happens there as well. I don't mind ever using a Burrow, Chase, Higgins type stack. I think there's always viability there. I'm always a mixing guy because they can get him out in space or on the ground. I know, like you mentioned, it shouldn't be a mixing week, but we just saw what Eckler just did. So I think Mixon's very intriguing at 75 and 8,000. I mentioned those 6 running backs on both sites. He's the cheapest one of the 6. So he's very intriguing to me at 75 and 8,000. Yeah, I love the receivers. Deontay Johnson, every time I see him below 7K on DK and even 71 on FanDuel is ridiculous. Like 66 for a guy that's going to get 10 plus targets every single week. Like on a PPR site, give me a freaking break. Like just keep playing Deontay Johnson. It's a foolish price, foolish price. So I like that one quite a bit as well. What's your take on a guy like in a tournament play? Because you saw a lot of use, at least more use than I expected last week in Ray McLeod.
I mean, I just don't expect that to keep pace. Ray had more targets than he's ever had in a game at halftime in that game. So
I was blown away every time I saw his name pop up. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to be a continuing situation. So for me, it's Deontay and Claypool. Claypool missed that game where Ray went off. So,
and I like the Pat call, Freiermuth. I think that's a good one as well. The one thing I'll mention, if you are doing Cincinnati, you want to be a little contrarian. I think it was more the game script because Higgins was like blanketed last week. Like they had a tough time getting Higgins the football. So Boyd had 8 targets and 6 catches last week. I don't know if that's sustainable. It was off a bye. Maybe they started game planning differently. I don't know. But that's something to keep in mind if you want to be contrarian. He's cheap. He's cheaper, I should say. But he's only $300 cheaper on DK and $400 cheaper on FanDuel than Higgins. I still kind of think Higgins is the guy. But yeah, Deontay is the best play in the game, period. All right, Tampa Bay at Indianapolis. This could be a shootout or a slugfest. I'm torn on this one. Tampa Bay minus 2.5 on the road, over under 51.5, the highest total on the slate.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather pay for JT coming off that 5 touchdown game or CMC?
I think I'd rather pay for CMC because the ownership will be much lower.
Yeah, I'm the same way with you. So that kind of takes Jonathan Taylor out of this for me, and I don't really want Wentz. I could see paying for Brady at 76 and 82. Not something I'm going to do this week. Mike Evans cropped up on the injury report with a back thing. AB still's not at practice. So this price of 7,600 for Godwin could be pretty decent. I think I'm more interested in Michael Pittman though, because I do think that, if Tampa Bay, I like the Colts in this game, but if Tampa Bay is winning, then Carson Wentz and company are going to have to pass. Pittman is the best pass catcher there. 56 and 66, I think, is a really good price for him. I think T.Y. Hilton at 4,000 is a good price. I'm not saying I go to him, but if you're looking for a cheap wide receiver, 4,000, 5,500 is a good price. Gronk got a lot of action last week, so I think he needs to at least be in your mind. Outside of that, not much to like in this game. So for me, it's pretty much and I don't want Fournette because they keep giving the ball to Jones at the goal line. It's driving me crazy. For me, it's Godwin, Pittman, maybe Hilton, and Gronk.
Yeah, both quarterbacks are in play. I don't mind paying up for Brady this week in a contrarian tournament build because most people won't. And you can go to Brady, to Godwin, to Gronk if you want. Or if Evans misses, you can get a cheap Ty Johnson at 39 and 53. I think it's very, very much in play. Bring it back with a Michael Pittman. In that case, you could also bring it back with a JT instead. Like if you're stacking it up, I get it on just basics. I want CMC, as you mentioned. This has a high total for a reason. I think there's going to be points scored in this game. I think Pittman's a phenomenal price point, like you said, at 56 and 66. Only other thing I'll mention is I love Gronk. Brate still got a decent amount of work at 32 and 48. So you can keep him in mind, especially if Evans misses and AB is out. They'll need more pass catchers. So Brate could come into that mix as well. All right, the final game on this 10-game slate. Barn burner for me because I'll have to hear about it all next week if it goes as bad as I think it's going to. Tennessee at New England in this one, and New England is favored by 6.5, 44.5 total.
Hey, look, you can not hear about it at all, Bob, but you just got to tell me who is the best team in the AFC right now.
I told you already. It is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, who's 2?
The Bills still, but the Patriots are like 2B.
Okay, well, the Patriots.
Patriots are leading the AFC East.
Dude, it's not even about the Patriots for me. Mine was about your love of Tennessee and how
once Henry's gone down, it's slowly going downhill in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, look, Derrick Henry is rough. So
yes.
Losing him makes. I mean, I don't want any part of this Tennessee offense at all whatsoever. So you can just write them off. For me, this game is about Damian Harris at 61 and 6,000. I think that's a good price for him. You could pay for Jacoby Myers at 5,000, 5,700, and you could pay up for Westbrook Akina at 4,000, 5,700. I think is okay, although he's not going to be on my list. I'll tell you that much. And then if you want to pay for a tight end of Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith, I mean, Jonnu is so cheap at 2,700, 4,500. They're almost begging you to take him. So I get that. I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger because I just haven't been the biggest Jonnu guy. I think I'd rather have Hunter Henry, but for me, no one in this game is going to be on my list. So maybe, you know what? How about this? Patriots defense, 39 and 5,000 against a broken Titans offense, I think could pay out pretty big.
Yeah, I'm just not going to play this game at all. I'm just going to skip it completely. I'm going to keep it simple. Keep it very simple. I want nothing to do with this football game.
That's understandable.
It's a 9-game slate for me. So it might be like a 6-game slate for me in the end, but we're going to cross that one off to make things a lot easier right now. All right, let's recap things real quick for the week. Bogman, who are your top quarterbacks on the week?
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, and Cam Newton.
Kirk Cousins, I got Cam Newton number 1 for me. I got Cousins number 2. Well, they're both like top for me. So I got Cousins and Newton as well. And then I'll try to be a little different. I will go with Jalen Hurts. I'll go Jalen Hurts to make things a little spicy on this show because I think he does have that leg running appeal. Who are your top running backs?
I'm going to go expensive, CMC, cheap, Ty Johnson, and in the middle, I'll go with James Robinson against Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Well, we got a lot of the same picks. I'm going to go CMC, Robinson, and A.J. Dillon still. I'm still believing in A.J. Dillon. I don't see how Aaron Jones plays this week. I think it's almost malpractice if he plays this week. But we'll see. What do you got at wide receiver?
Oh my God! Do we have to only pick 3?
There's a ton here. There's a ton here.
All right, I'll narrow it down. Okay, give me expensive. I'll go to Keenan Allen. I'll go with Waddle because I just think it's every week with him. And my last one's going to be Ayuk. Ayuk against Minnesota. I think that game really goes back and forth, and I love that price on him.
Okay, I'll make a point to pick 3 different ones to keep this to keep this interesting. I'm gonna go with Debo.
All right, love it.
Deontay.
Okay.
Like I said, just keep paying for him. It's ridiculous that they're not doing it. And then I'm going to go to match up with Cammy Cam. I'm going to go DJ Moore.
All right, I love it.
So, but there's a ton this week. Tons. What do you got at tight end?
Tight end, let's go with Gronk, toe tap Pat Freiermuth, and I like Conklin. Like I said, back and forth. Conklin's still cheap. Love that price on him.
Yeah, I'm going to go Goddard. I'm going to go Evan Ingram. And to make it different, who do I want to be different? Because I'm gonna take Conklin still. I'm not gonna be different. Okay. I'm gonna take Conklin in that one because I love that he's a red zone target. If Thielen doesn't get it, it's usually Conklin. What are your favorite stacks this week?
I thought you were gonna ask me. My defenses are Jacksonville, New England. By the way, my stacks. I think obviously Minnesota and San Francisco is a huge stack. I think wideouts in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is a decent one. Probably Panthers against the Dolphins, Chargers against the Broncos are a good one too. But like you said, there's a lot of games to kind of maybe scratch off this week.
Yeah, you scratch them off, you take small pieces. Like Minnesota, San Francisco, that's my biggest game stack. I like the Carolina stack, and I like the Philadelphia stack, even if it's just Hurts and Goddard. I'm totally fine with that. And then just go play everything else. I have no problem with that at all. All right. The moment everyone's been waiting for, and the only way they find this out besides listening, well, you can find out by listening, but if you want to win stuff, you got to follow LineStar on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL, and they'll tweet out the touchdown call of the week from Bogman, myself, and Ryan Humphreys. And if you retweet that tweet, 3 lucky fans will get chosen to get paired with each one of us. You have a chance to win some free swag from LineStar. So, Bogman, who is your touchdown call this week?
Hey, you know what? I want somebody to win something. So give me Christian McCaffrey.
That's a good one.
I went Deontay Foreman. I've been trying to go obscure recently. I've been whiffing. So let's get Christian McCaffrey back in that end zone.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with this one. Let's go to the Bay and let's go Deebo Samuel.
I'm
gonna put Deebo in the house. You got CMC. I'll take Deebo because it ain't Friday, folks. He's working, so it's good. we got that going for us. It should be a fun week. It's like not the greatest games, but it's better than Thursday's games. Let's put it that way.
Better than Thursday's
every time we look at something, the news comes out, it looks worse and worse. So it's getting bad, but we'll see how it goes. But more importantly, hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. Check out LineStar again on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. Check Bogman out at Bogman Sports. I'm Matt BDandrick. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We're back with you guys next week. See y'all later.
Good luck. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Please like, comment, subscribe, and rate for good karma in your fantasy football game.